So maybe just a thought on an extension for Vasily Podkolzin. Just the direction that his career turned when he came to Edmonton, and how this is some payoff for the hard work we see from him.
Well, we're very fortunate to get Pods the way we did. He's been a huge asset for us, filling in numerous lines. He started with last year on the fourth line, played well, moved him up, and then spent most of the season with Draisaitl. And some penalty kill time, almost no power play time, but we just feel that he's a hard worker, complements any player that he's playing with, whether it's a skilled player or kind of a more simple forechecking, defensive-minded line. He's young, and we feel that he's just going to get better. And last year, maybe the offensive numbers didn't show, like, we're pretty pedestrian, wasn't outstanding, but we feel that there's more offense in him, and we just feel very fortunate to have him with us.
When we see a guy like Leon Draisaitl speak so glowingly about him, what does that say kind of about the player and kind of where maybe he fits in?
Well, an ultimate player, you always want players on the ice that make other players better, and I think Pods has those attributes. Like, he's pretty good defensively. He's hard on the forecheck. He makes it uncomfortable for the other team with his, he's a strong guy who's not afraid to finish his checks. Last year I think he had about 8 goals, and I think we'd like to see more out of him in that aspect, and I think it's just more of a shoot mentality because he does have a good shot. It's not only Leon praising him for his play. There's numerous guys in the lineup that like playing with him because of the type of player he is.
He doesn't jump out at you. His numbers don't jump out. He's kind of like a subtle player. He's like a hockey player's hockey player kind of a thing, that if you're following.
Yeah, there's the if you look at the simple analytics, which is the goals and assists, and obviously those are the most important because those are you're putting the puck in the net or you're setting it up. But he drives a lot of play. He spends a lot of time in the offensive zone. So those players that spend more time in the offensive zone than the defensive zone, they're obviously doing things well, and they're pushing play. And Pods is definitely one of those guys, and he's just a smart, hardworking guy. And no matter, for me, I like the versatility of him. Like, I can move him up and down the lineup, and one thing he doesn't do is center, but we've got enough of those. But he can play left wing and right wing, and play with anybody.
If he plays with Leon, is it okay for him to be an 8 to 10 goal guy, or do you kind of need to see a guy?
I'd like him to be more, and if he's not playing with Leon, I still want him to be more. And I think with him, it's just he. Just not a shot-first mentality. I think he's always looking to make another play. Doesn't want to give up a puck, especially when he's on the ice with, McDavid or Draisaitl, because he knows that those guys are so good with the puck, and there's often being reluctant to throw a puck at the net because it's often a change of possession. But I think we're encouraging him to be able to shoot the puck a little bit more because he'll score because he's got a good shot.
Kris, when it comes to David Tomashik, do you think he's been trying out at wing on practices, center in games a little bit? Like, are you just kind of seeing what you have in the player a little
Absolutely,
bit? Yeah.
absolutely seeing what he has. Right now, more probably looking at him playing center the next few exhibition games. But I feel that he could be a guy that goes up and down the lineup because he's smart. He could also a good finisher, or at least I assume he will be. He can shoot the puck, and we just talked about Pods, about being reluctant to shoot. David is not reluctant. He wants to shoot. He wants to score, which is good. Whether he's ready for top 6 playing with good players, we'll see that. But right now, I think for him, probably best that he's familiar playing a position that he's played primarily the last couple of years, and that's mostly been center. Not that he hasn't played the wings, but I think it would be best for him to just get used to the game here. He's playing the middle for a while.
You talked a lot about not having, or lack of a primary centerman who shoots right. Is this kind of a good opportunity for you to see what you have?
Yeah. In the Swedish league last year, he was one of the top face-off guys, and that's not the NHL, but I think that's a good start, and we'll see how he does. I think he's He's strong. So, I think that he can be a face-off guy for us. And we'll, hopefully he develops so that we can rely on him on the face-off last minute if it's on that side. That would be nice. That'd be nice that he'd be able to do that. But right now we're not counting on it. But, I think we've got a lot to work
Frederick
from
on the wing
with them.
Leon and Connor, is that a line we can see tomorrow?
Yes, those three will be playing together.
Why, you've talked about moving Frederick up, is this your chance to see, okay? how
Yeah,
he
we
does
want
with
to
the
see Freddie up. Obviously, we're missing Hyman for the first month of the season, and we need to find somebody to move up and play that top 9 role and maybe the top line. Freddie is a good candidate because, one, I don't think he gets enough appreciation of his skills. I think he is good with the puck. But I think the 2 most important attributes playing with McDavid or Draisaitl is, one, being good on the walls. So you're able to break the puck out, get the puck in their hands. That's one part of it, and the other one is in the offensive zone, being able to just be around the net. And you look at the success Hyman's had last few years playing with those skilled guys. Freddie hopefully can have some of that success too, because, like I said, he has pretty good hands. He can make plays, and hopefully now that he hasn't had the opportunity to play in top 6 ever, and we hope that with that opportunity he can provide a little more offense.
Would you rather have Leon and Connor together on a line as opposed to?
I think for the most part, we can go split them, go on separate lines, or we can play them together. I think one thing is when they are playing together, you get a lot more out of the rest 3 of the lines. And that might sound a little ironic, but one is ice time that's available. When those 2 are playing 21, 22 minutes, there's not much left for lines 3 and 4, and often they feel left out. Now, when Leon and Connor are playing together, it allows those 3 lines to stay in the game and play their regular shift more often, and they also play more to their identity. Because when you've got a guy that maybe is not a top 6 guy, but he's playing with Leon or Connor, they kind of have to play to a top 6 line identity, even though maybe that's not part of their game. So with Leon and Connor together, the other guys playing to their identity, I find that maybe you get more out of those guys. And we saw it last year with Nugent Hopkins when he was playing with Arvidsson and Podkolzin. They were putting up probably just as much offense individually, just that they were able to play their game a little bit more.
Sorry to interrupt you there. With Hyman not being available for the first however many weeks of the season, there was probably some experimenting to be done in your top 6 to some new guys, see what fits, what doesn't. With Hyman not available, does it make some sense to just go with the known commodity of McDavid and Draisaitl and maybe save some of that experimenting for after Zach is back and the top 6 is a little beefier?
Yeah, this is what our plan is right now, but obviously it can change. I think we want to see what we have from everybody else. We want to see how guys mesh, and I think without Hyman, we're kind of maybe a little slim on having top 6 winger talent, and then you kind of have pieces, and maybe you have 2 lines that you don't really like. And when I know I have Connor and Leon together, you definitely have a line that you like, no matter who's on that line. And right now we're trying Freddie, and it might be somebody else, but it'll work. No matter who they're with, it works. And I think with the other guys, they can just play their game, whether it's a checking role, energy line, whatever it is. I think we can get more out of those guys.
What philosophy would you subscribe to with using Savoy in a top 6 role with one of those 2 really high-profile players? Is it a scenario where you'd like to see his game build to the point where you're willing to give it a look, or do you let him start there and give it some time to breathe?
No, I think it's important that he's in a position that he has success and there's not too much pressure on him, and I think we can always move him up in the lineup. And I think if we're in a position, and there's going to be bad games, there's going to be stretches where he's not playing his best, and there's going to be times where you're moving him down, and I don't think that's good for the long run. I think it's good for him to start low and move up, and he's played really well. And you know, I think also, even if he is on the fourth line, I can see him being on special teams. So maybe he's on the fourth line, not getting as much ice time as other guys, but a possibility of being on the power play, being on the penalty kill. So there'll be a lot. So if he's on the power play and penalty kill and playing on the top line, well, that's probably too tall of an order for a guy who's just coming in the league. So, yeah, we'll find out.
But you're looking for guys that can contribute in a top six role. He goes back-to-back games where he has, 3 points in 2 games. That meets the bar on
Yes,
this team.
absolutely.
Or are you looking for a longer body of work?
No, if he does well, we're going to find out what's best for our team. And, if he is providing offense, I know last year one thing we didn't have enough of, or one thing we were disappointed was secondary scoring. If he's putting up offense and can contribute on a lower line, then that's good. Some guys can contribute offense kind of on their own. Some guys complement Connor and Leon. They can't really drive play and score without those guys. So, there's a lot of things to consider.
Chris, if you're gonna have Connor and Leon together, do you have to play Nuge on the second line then?
Yeah, I think you do. I think if those two are on the line, Nuge is your next centerman up.
Chris, just to get a comment on tonight's game, just what are you hoping to get accomplished, especially with the group that you're sending down? And are you expecting a veteran-heavy team over in Winnipeg?
No, it's actually a little bit different. I know last time we were there was a very veteran-heavy team, and this year was a little more not as heavy with the regulars. I think very similar to what we're sending. And, I think, we're trying to step up our game, get a little bit faster, execute a little bit better. For me, getting to see these players play, a lot of them for the first time. A lot of these guys played in Calgary that I didn't get to see live, that, I'll get a taste to see what they can do.
Can I ask you about Regula? You never saw him play last year. Is this just an open slate with him? I mean, he was obviously, the owners claimed him on waivers and then signed him again, but you've not really even seen him play games for you.
Yeah, no, well, I've seen him on video. There's a lot of talk before we claimed on waivers. The possibility of him going on waivers, and that might be a player of interest that we could claim. And fitting a need that we needed at the moment. I think, for a guy that hasn't played hockey for about, 16, 18 months, for him to come here, then his to an NHL camp and doing as well as he is, I think speaks highly of him. A lot of respect for him. I think he's still getting used to the speed of the game and getting his skills because he hasn't played for a year and a half. That's difficult.